Welcome to Pistons Talk Podcast post-game show, our final post-game show until the preseason starts. So we are in the dog days of off season after this podcast is over. Hope you guys are having a great night, good weekend. Pistons just wrapped up their final summer league game against the San Antonio Spurs. This was a consolation game, kind of just like a participation game, if you will. I believe the Kings and the Hornets play for the championship game tomorrow. It's kind of funny. Like the Kings, I feel like are always in the championship summer league game, but you guys came here. If you are watching, if you're not, I understand. Pistons Spurs. So start off the game. I assumed Donis Jenkins wasn't going to be playing because he was not in the starting lineup. Zakai Ziegler was actually the starting point guard to start this game. So I was like, oh, no Donis Jenkins. Maybe they're just shutting him down. That wasn't the case. He actually played in the third quarter. But no Donis, no Ron Holland, but you still had your regular starters out there. TJ Bickerstaff started. Bobby out there started. Chaz Lanier started, obviously. But Pistons defense, believe it or not, to start this game really bothered the Spurs. The Spurs actually didn't score their first point until like the 5.5 minute mark in the first quarter. And the defense was really good. Chaz Lanier hit 3 3-pointers in this first quarter. Tolu Smith was active as usual in the first quarter. But the Spurs kind of went on a run in this first, got within 4, and eventually tied this game to end the first quarter at 19 apiece. Going into the second quarter, the Spurs came out really aggressive and took the lead from the Detroit Pistons, and they never let up. Between the second all the way to the fourth, the Spurs were in control of this basketball game. And the only thing to really note who played well was John Yu. If you guys know who that is, he was a walk-on for the Mo City Cruise. Actually, like a tryout. I guess you can't really call it a walk-on. More of like a tryout. We'll get it to him a little bit later in the podcast. But John Yu was really impressive. Pistons got within 11 points to go into halftime, 53-42. Donis Jenkins did play in the third quarter, which I thought he was just sitting out because he wasn't in the starting lineup. Coach Vitale basically played everyone that didn't play in the first half in the second half. So you saw like Bryce Williams out there. You saw Dawson Garcia out there, the undrafted guys, undrafted free agent guys that we signed before summer league. They were out there. Nothing really to note in the third quarter. It was basically just all San Antonio. The Pistons defense was very lax, and they just weren't really engaged in the second half. And it was a 74-63 lead to end the third quarter. And just going into the fourth, there was really nothing to know. Just everyone that was on the Summer League roster that we didn't get to see in the first 3 games got an opportunity to play, which I think is cool because, a lot of these guys are fighting for G League spots, possibly 2-way contracts. So everyone got to play. Pistons do lose to the Spurs in their final Summer League game, 96-84. And they finished the Summer League 3-2. Overall, I mean, I thought the first quarter for, I don't know, maybe the first 7-ish minutes, they looked like they were going to win this basketball game, but defensively, it's collapsed. Spurs were just a little bit, too active for them. Getting into the paint, shooting threes, just being more of the aggressive team, in my personal opinion. But overall, it's summer league. I mean, if you're watching the final game of the Pistons summer league, no one should question your Pistons fandom. I mean, there are some guys on here that probably won't make an NBA roster. They might make the G League or maybe they'll sign with overseas, but a lot of these guys probably won't make NBA rosters. So if you watch tonight, like myself, you are a definition of a Pistons sicko, and we love you. But I do want to kind of just reflect with Chaz Lanier, kind of going over to the next topic of this podcast. And just overall thoughts with him in these summer league games. I thought there was some good. I thought there was some bad, but overall, I liked what I saw out of Chaz Lanier in these summer league games, in these 5 summer league games. I think the first thing that we can mutually agree with is Chaz Lanier can shoot the basketball. He's got a very quick release. I think there are things with him that I want him to work on this summer, going into training camp and possibly work on this preseason. I'd like to see him be a little bit more aggressive. I feel like during the summer league, there were times where he did pass up some pretty good looks. Maybe his feet weren't set. Maybe he just didn't like the screen he was coming off of. But overall, I think there was a lot there that you like with the Chaz Lanier. I think defensively, he did make some good rotations in the summer league, and there is something there. I think now, is it a lockdown defender? Probably not, but it's a defender that you're not too worried about. He's never going to guard your best defender. He can definitely rotate, help side. I think he's going to be a pretty good defender at the NBA level. There's a lot to like there with him, in my personal opinion. I saw some good instincts, some good reactions out of him defensively. But you did see some playmaking as well. He does have the ability to pass the ball if he does get run off the 3-point line and make a good read. Um, I think there's some area of improvement with him to be a better playmaker. But 5 summer league games, I think you saw the ability. If they do run him up a 3-point shot, he's not going to force a bad jump shot or just a low percentage shot. He will pass it to his teammates and try to reset or come off the screen. So overall, was really impressed with just his overall game. There was a lot to like, and there's some stuff for him to work on, which I think he will. It's July 19th. We don't get preseason until like what, second, third week in September. So over these next 2 months, I'm sure he's going to be working a lot with the Detroit Pistons uh, coaches, teammates, and get better in those areas that we just discussed. But I was pretty, satisfied with him overall in this summer league. Obviously, there are other players, but I just want to kind of the focus on the rookie. We'll probably recap the summer league a little bit more in depth later on next week. Not doing a podcast tomorrow, just taking it off, enjoy the summer. But we will have a podcast later next week. Still trying to confirm a guest as of right now, but we will have a podcast for you guys next week. Did want to end the podcast talking about local kid, John Yu. Now, if you guys watch a lot of Motor City Cruise basketball, you know who John Yu is. If you're not too familiar, this guy paid over $250 to try out for the Motor City Cruise last year. Made the team, by the way, and was one of their better contributors last season. Now, he had a great game. He had 12 points tonight and high flyer. There's a lot to like with him. I don't know if he's ever going to be an NBA player or even a rotational player or a two-way contract type of player, but I wanted to talk about him for a couple of minutes. I feel like he does deserve um, just the airspace right now with it being the last summer league game. I think there's a lot to like with the kid. Happy for him. I think it's a really cool story. If you guys want to kind of go down the rabbit hole and kind of just check him out, his story, um, trying out for the Cruise last season, paying over $200 just for a tryout to try to make the team, and he did. And Jamel McMillan, who's the head coach of the Motor City Cruise, spoke so highly of him and how he was used. A 6'7" forward that's really bouncy, can shoot, get to the basket. There's just a lot to like with the kid, but wishing him well. You never know. There's a lot of NBA teams watching. A lot of these guys on these summer league rosters are fighting for G League spots. They're fighting for two-way contracts or even standard contracts for that matter. So Um, you never know who's going to make NBA rosters around this time of year. I mean, there's been a lot of NBA news, but it's just been buyouts lately, like Bradley Beal and Marcus Smart today, which I swear I thought I got sentled both times. I was like, really? But hey, man, I know it's not business related, but I mean, this some of the NBA news coming out has been like pretty dry, um, especially with free agency kind of dying down, open roster spots, trade exceptions that the Pistons do have. But don't want to take up too much of your time, you guys. Um, Again, Pistons do lose this one, 96-84 was the final score. But we will see you guys next week, kind of discussing just the summer league as a whole, kind of breaking it down, and some other topics that I did come up with that I think you guys will be very interested to join the conversation when we do have a podcast next week. But hope you guys have a great weekend. Stay safe. And as always, you guys, go Pistons. Peace.